Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cohort 21's audiobook program. My name is Michelle. I am one of the producers here for Manuscripts in the audiobook department, and today we are going to go over the general overview of the program and what you can expect. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my handy dandy little PowerPoint. All right. So again, welcome to the audiobook workshop for Cohort 21. 5-month overview. Today's workshop will be an overview of our entire 5-month program. Setting proper expectations is the best method for overall success. Monday, June 3rd is the official start date. Your first month is for preparation. In that month, you will watch all of the annotation and narration workshops we provide to you on Google Classroom. You'll prepare your space properly for recording. You're going to annotate your entire manuscript and practice it. You're going to set up your hardware and software for recording in the space that you've prepared, and you're going to pass your sound test well before the recording period of July 1st. Your raw files due date. Your due date for your raw file recordings, which is the entire first draft of the book, is the Thursday of the 6th week of the recording period. The recording period begins the 1st of July for this cohort. So that makes your raw files due date Thursday, August 8th at noon Eastern Standard Time. If you pass your sound test early, you can begin recording early, but you must pass your sound test before you are allowed to start recording chapters. Tag in your producer to listen to every chapter as soon as you complete it. When you complete a chapter and upload it to your raw file folder, please tag your producer in your update room so she can review it. Your producer will review each chapter within 72 hours. We do not consider the weekend to be part of those 72 hours. Manuscripts LLC is closed on weekends, and employees working on Saturday or Sunday is optional. Record a chapter, tag in your producer. Your producer is not a sound engineer, but will be able to detect anything abnormal. This is especially important early. We don't want to discover a problem that forces you to have to redo a lot of your chapters. So don't dump a bunch of chapters on your producer at once. Record a chapter or two, tag in your producer to review. Submitting to post-production. You will submit to post-production when your entire book is successfully recorded. You don't submit to post-production piecemeal. They will only accept the entire audiobook, not portions of it. All you need to do is to have the chapters, including introduction and conclusion, and your PDF with all changes placed in your Google Drive folder and named correctly. You can speak to your producer about how to name your files. 25% recording per week over the next 4 weeks. To be on track, your goal is to record 1/4 or 25% of your audiobook each week for the first 4 weeks of the recording period. So that way you record the entire book in 4 weeks' time. This will give you 2 weeks for you and members of your author community to listen to your audiobook, and you can take notes and quickly do second takes on certain sections or certain lines that you didn't like before you submit them to your producer by the August 8th deadline. No, you cannot move to the next cohort. In the softcover division, if you fall behind, you often have the option of moving to the next cohort. We do not do that in the audiobook division, except under very strict conditions. If you break at least 3 bones in your body, you can move to the next cohort. If 8 members of your family die horribly all at once, you can move to the next cohort. If half of your house burns to the ground, you can move to the next cohort. If none of these conditions apply, you cannot move to the next cohort. Emergencies do happen. Obviously, that list was in jest. Emergencies do happen. If a legitimate issue occurs, you must request a meeting with audiobook director Alan Zatko. Only he can grant a move to the next cohort. Your producer is not authorized to do that. If the emergency is a temporary situation and you are prepped to genuinely record your audiobook in the next cohort, it will likely be allowed. However, most of the time, if you cannot complete the audiobook self-narration process in a timely fashion, Director Zatkow will insist that you hire an ACX professional narrator to do the job for you instead, thus hiring an ACX professional. When this happens, it is not optional. If you find you don't have the time in your schedule to record the audiobook, you will need to move off of self-narration. You will not be allowed to move to the next cohort. The audiobook process is very expensive, and authors who move cohorts become cost prohibitive for us at Manuscripts. We are not Disney. We have a tight budget for each project. This often works out very well for you, though, as it eliminates the burden of self narration. Narration for an entire audiobook is a lot harder than most authors think it will be, and it is okay for you to shift gears and hire a professional if you are struggling with any part of the process, including time management. ACX professionals must meet Amazon's strict standards, and they are excellent, and you can find someone with the voice quality you want during the audition process, which your producer will walk you through. Raw files are the first, but not the only draft. For those that do make it through the self-narration process, remember that raw recording period is the first draft. You can submit your files and then re-record any section you feel is flawed again in the second draft process. So make notes on sections you'll want to re-record for a better performance, and don't worry if your first submission isn't perfect. Submitting to post-production late. If you submit to post-production after the August 8th deadline, there is a $125 fine every day that you are late, up to a total of $875. This is necessary because the post-production team members get paid whether your files are available for them to work on or not. Don't underestimate the work. Do 25% of your audiobook every week for the first 4, and there will be no chance of being late. Submitting to post-production early. You do not have to wait until the August 8th deadline to submit your files. Some of you might have 80,000 word books, others will have 25 to 30, maybe some of you will fall somewhere in between. If you finish your audiobook early, it is in your best interest to submit it and get it into the post-production team's queue right away. If the raw files are complete and your PDF is word perfect, go ahead and submit it if you are happy with the quality of the work. You would then be among the first in the queue, and your notes for the second draft will come back quicker than those who submit later and are behind many others in the queue. Producers are not revision editors. Your producer's job is to keep you on track with deadlines and workshops and to answer questions you have. Your producers will listen to 10 to 15 minutes at the top and 10 to 15 minutes at the back end of each chapter. That might be the entire chapter, or it might not, depending on the length of the recording. Your producer is looking for issues. Revision editors reviewed every word of your softcover book creation because they were interested in changing flawed content. Producers don't do that. They listen to 20 to 30 minutes of a chapter to detect blatant technical issues, such as echo, reverbs, hums or buzzes, odd noises from other people or things, everything from thunder and rain. One author had a news helicopter fly outside and the producer could hear it, so he needed to redo that section. And if you're performing dynamically and not just talking in a boring monotone. 20 to 30 minutes of review for a chapter is enough to discover most issues. If a mistake slips through, every now and again, an issue in a long chapter might slip past your producer if it is in a section of a chapter they don't listen to. But the post-production team will catch it, and you will be able to fix it in your second draft. This system works really well here at Manuscripts, so don't worry. If you want specific sections reviewed, your producers can listen to specific moments that you are unsure of, but that will be part of the 20 to 30 minute assignment for that chapter. Feel free to specify a section for them to listen to if you want advice, but don't expect them to do that section plus an additional 30 minutes for that particular chapter. Trusted members of your author community. It is always a good idea to have 1 to 3 members of your trusted author community listen to your files as well, because they can listen to every word and detect technical errors and flubs, tell you when they had a hard time understanding if you didn't enunciate properly, let you know if you wander into monotone or if your performance is exciting or dynamic, and give you the confidence that your recordings sound good and you don't need to re-record when it's actually just fine. Sometimes we are our own worst critics, and when we listen back to our recordings, we spot every single little flaw. Your audience might be better equipped to be able to listen to you and tell you when it's fine. Remember to update your PDF. The post-production team will need a clean PDF with any word changes you make. Literally every word needs to be accurate so they can follow along while putting your audiobook together. When you alter a sentence during the process, please immediately update your PDF. This will work better if you practice, find what's wrong in your sentence structures, and change them before you are in the recording stage. You should plan this out in your schedule ahead of time. Do not make the mistake of recording a session and then attempt to go back later to find what you changed. This leads to far more work than you want and is a nightmarish process that often leads to mistakes. The wait period. Once you submit your raw files, it can take anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks for the first cut of your audiobook to be created and redo notes to come your way. During this time period, you can simply relax and rejuvenate or practice areas that you know you want to redo already. There are no expectations for you except to attend some business related workshops in Google Classroom that we assign. When ready, the post production team will provide notes in a PDF form for any section which is problematic and might need a redo. If we were diligent during the sound test and the raw recordings, these are usually just a small percentage of the audiobook, and most of it should be just fine. The final stretch. You will have 2 weeks from the time you receive your audiobook back to record the new material before the final copy needs to be resubmitted to post production for the audiobook's final version. Because every author has a different place in the queue and will be getting their notes back at an individual time, you will work out your second draft deadline with your producer in a one-on-one meeting immediately after getting your notes from post production. Do not disappear. Check in every week. Because it can take 1 to 4 weeks, some authors in the past have completely ghosted on us only to return to find their notes were ready weeks prior. Please check in twice per week in your personal update room during the wait period to discover if your notes are ready. As soon as they are, book a strategy meeting with your producer to plan your 14-day second draft recording period and the new final draft submission deadline. Cover review. The art team will take your book cover and convert it into the square-sized file you need for your audiobook. Usually, they will have it ready by the time your polished audio files are in review by the post-production team. While they will not be creating a new cover, simply converting your book cover, it will still look fresh and fantastic in its new shape. Submission to post for second revisions. You do not need to submit the entire audiobook again. Instead, just the redos for your final version. Once everything is in the final folder along with a new clean PDF with all changes and notes for post-production, then your producer will submit it. It will typically take the post-production team 2 to 3 weeks to finalize it once your files are submitted. Last chance edits. You will get an opportunity to listen to your audiobook after the post-production team completes it. If there are any blatant errors, they can be fixed, especially if the errors are on Manuscripts side. We want you to have the very best audiobook possible. Please do not come back to us to fix every tiny little thing, though. All books and audiobooks have little errors, and you would be surprised how listeners rarely even catch them or care about a mistake or three in a long audiobook. Nobody's perfect. Uploading your files. Just like you uploaded your softcover and ebook files to the distribution networks, you will do the same with your audiobook files. We will teach you how to create an ACX account and upload the files in a workshop. When you upload to ACX, your audiobook will become available on Amazon.com, Audible, and Apple iTunes. As you own your audiobook, you can then decide what other distribution networks you want to upload to. Your decision should be based on your business model and your goals. We are now recommending authors avoid Spotify due to new irregularities in their audiobook contract, allowing them to make derivative works of anyone's audiobook, thereby essentially stealing your copyright ownership. Now, this was just an overview. The exact process for how to get each thing done will be provided in Google Classroom workshops, private meetings with your producer, and written materials that will guide you through every step. You are not alone. The Manuscripts team is here for you. Please always consult with your producer on your next task. Don't guess. Let us guide you through a process that has succeeded hundreds of times for authors in the past. We are excited to work with you and make a wonderful audiobook. Thanks for your time today. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.